Hey there, Bookalicious people. So, Candy and I got a little excited talking about the Barbie movie and some of the crazy Barbies we grew up with. So, if you're here for the banter, you're in for a treat today. If you're here for Elantris, however, your fun starts at minute 21. Wherever you start listening, though, we're glad you're joining our book club and hope you enjoy this episode.
Okay, so school started back up.
Yeah, school started for me last week and it was super fun. There are a lot of extra meetings and things of like get to know you, and we had a pizza party, and we had a painting party where we had to paint something related to our research. So anyways, it's been a fun time.
Did you paint a boob?
I considered it.
So Chrissy's research, last I checked, was about the breast cancer gene.
Yeah, it's about to clarify. Yeah, and I did look up breast cancer art, and there were a lot of boobs, and I considered it, but I was like, honestly, I can't draw that well, and this isn't gonna look good, and it's gonna hang up in like the bio conference room where they have meetings, and I just don't think that's what they're going for. So anyways, everyone else was painting like fish because they're researching fish, and I was like, that's a nice thing to draw.
Yeah.
A bacteria, but I was like, how do I draw this? So anyways, so I drew a statistic. Everyone was like, what the heck?
What's a statistic?
So the statistic is if you have a mutation in your breast cancer gene, BRCA1, then so the statistic is that if for a woman in the general population, she has about a 13% risk of developing breast cancer over her lifetime. But if you have a mutation in BRCA1, then your risk jumps to like 55 to 72%.
Oh shoot.
I know. So how I represented this was I had all these like little women stick figures, and the first line has just one painted pink and the second line has like 5 painted pink.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. If you do this again though, so I've always used the cupcake emoji as a representation of a boob.
What?
Because I feel like it looks like if you're not looking at a boob like head on, but if a person's like laying down, and I guess if they have like implants because they're very like round, but you have like the little cherry on top, and I feel like that's like, the nip.
I guess you're right.
And so that's what I've always used. So I feel like you could, if everyone's doing fish, you could do little cupcakes, 2 cupcakes.
What does that represent? I'll say, just think about it.
Yeah.
Like,
have you recently looked at the cupcake emoji?
No, I haven't. I don't think I've ever used the cupcake emoji. So this is really opening up a whole new window here. Let's see.
Okay. And it's maybe it's not the cupcake. The one that I have on my phone, it has like a cherry on top. Maybe it's a sundae.
That's very oblong. Is that the right word? Where it's like really elongated?
Yeah, it's an erect nip.
Oh
for sure. But I feel like you can use it. I'm trying to see if I can find the right one.
I don't know if I have any with a cherry on top.
Well, maybe that's just something that droids have that you iPhone users don't experience. These have faces on it, but this is kind of like what mine look like. So it's like pink, and it has like a big circle for the cupcake part, and then it has a little cherry on top.
Oh my gosh, there's even like a little hair. Little cherry stem.
Yeah, so maybe I would omit the little stem. Then the rest would, here's another one. I think there's opportunity there. You might need to flesh it out a little more.
I see what you're saying. There's definitely, I could go somewhere with this.
Yeah.
A new form of visual art for breast cancer research. You know what I did learn though, this reminded me of, have you seen the Barbie movie
Yeah.
yet? Okay. So they had like all these different references to different types of Barbies. Did you know those are actually all real Barbies?
Yeah, girl.
Had you ever known about Grow Up Skipper before?
I had to Google all of these. So I did the probably similar research that you
Yeah.
did.
Okay. Well, Grow Up with your whole thing about cupcakes and erect cupcakes remind me of Grow Up Skipper. It's like I can't believe that's actually a Barbie.
So, okay. So what was Grow Up Skipper? I don't think I looked her up. Oh, I just Googled it. Growing up Skipper dash growing breasts. Oh my.
I know, you like turn her arm around and her torso elongates and then she matures.
Oh my God. I'm gonna watch the demo right now.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm seeing that her torso gets elongated, but her little boobies don't get very big at all.
They don't. She's still trying to keep her realistic.
The tag for her, she's 2 dolls in 1 for twice as much fun.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Ugh.
Oh my God.
Sugar Daddy Ken really got me though.
He's not real.
He is real. He's
No.
real. And they made Sugar Daddy Ken and they were like, Mattel, you can't do that. That's weird. And they were like, what? He has a dog named Sugar and he's Sugar's daddy. What's weird about that?
Oh my God.
How did this get through PR?
Oh my God. It says Ken's flamboyant ensemble seemingly references Slim Aaron's Palm Springs party. I don't even know what that is.
Ooh. We're not cultured enough.
Oh. So it's from some movie.
Oh, it is?
Mm-hmm.
I guess that makes more sense. Well, what happened in the movie? Was it a guy with a dog named?
I think they just lifted the clothes, the style
Oh,
from
okay.
some guy in a movie. So now I need to look at what does Sugar Daddy Ken look like in the Barbie movie.
Oh my gosh. Do you know when Sugar Daddy was released?
Looking at his clothes, probably the 80s.
No. 2009. At least that's when this article is published and it's talking about Sugar Daddy as if it was just released. So I think
No. That's when the
No?
internet was new and people were like learning that you could Google things and write articles about them.
I don't know. Let's look it up.
Sugar Daddy's Ken was released as part of Barbie's 50th anniversary. Yeah. No.
Oh, it was in 2009.
The fact that this Sugar Daddy Ken came out in 2009, like during our lifetime, and I would have guessed for sure the 80s or, before, like a very, very long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that represents how far like women have come in terms of like rights and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable and things like that.
Yeah, in a very short time, considering that was 2009.
Right, exactly. Because like that would not fly today at all.
No.
No, because I think it just seems to like represent a lot of like that male guy taking care of the lady and her being used as like an object. Which maybe that's not right. I don't know.
With Sugar Daddy Ken?
I feel like that. I don't know. Why does Sugar Daddy Ken give you the ick?
Mainly his name, Sugar Daddy. I feel like he's going for all the Kellys in the Barbie world. That's the vibe I get.
Oh, okay. You feel like he's like predatory. He's going after Grow Up Skipper.
I mean, those were kind of the vibes I was getting.
Okay. I can see that. I can see that.
What does Sugar Daddy translate to?
Well, to me, when I'm thinking sugar daddy, I'm thinking of a woman who uses her physical appearance to get money and be supported and is typically stereotyped as like not very smart
Mm-hmm.
and kind of trades her physical appearance for money, which some people do that, and that's totally fine if that's what you want to do. I don't know, but I don't know. Maybe there's nothing wrong with it.
With sugar daddy.
It does. I don't know.
Mm.
Let's see why people were upset about it in 2009.
So sugar daddy definition, according to dictionary.com. So apparently this is on here. And it's on Britannica. And they're pretty similar. So Britannica says a rich older man who gives money, gifts, etc. to someone, such as a young woman, in exchange for sex and friendship, etc. So I feel like sugar daddy kind of has the moral badness on the daddy part of like he's wooing and swaying vulnerable, especially young women, in a bad direction.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what I would say with the sugar daddy thing is that from what I know, some women do that and they like it. And it works out for them. And like you're free to do that. It does make me feel like kind of ooh to try to like, I don't know, glorify that maybe to like young girls. I don't know. There's something there.
Yeah. I get that you're free to do what you want. But also it's like this isn't a fulfilling kind of relationship. Even if you're getting some things out of it, it's like you deserve more. There's better things for you.
Yeah.
That's my take.
Oh, do you remember Pregnant Midge? We had Pregnant Midge.
What? We did?
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all. Are you sure we did?
Yeah. I'm going to show you this outfit that she had, and you're going to be like, yep, we had that.
Oh, no. Wait. Did we still have the Barbie, though? Because I think probably I do remember a pregnant dress.
Yeah.
No way. Okay, but did we have Midge? I wonder if we just got the dress from like a hand-me-down thing.
No, we had
What?
Midge. We had Midge because remember I did that thing with the twins?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. I used to make like weird Barbie stories, and my one Barbie story is because we had one like Midge, and I don't know if you could make her not pregnant or something, or she was always pregnant.
Oh my gosh, maybe we did have this.
Yeah. And so what I did, we had two of them, and one was like married to the guy. They were actually both married to the guy at first. And one lived in the basement, and they would alternate, and the guy didn't know that it was two twins married to him. And then one of the twins got pregnant. So she had to be stuck in the basement for like a long time. And then she got like really mad about it. And then I think she killed some people at the end of it.
I don't remember that.
And so I remember that story, but I did not realize that it was Pregnant Midge.
I wonder if they changed Pregnant Midge because maybe I don't know. Because some of these pictures of like, did you see the picture when you can just see the baby in the belly and you take off like the pregnant part?
That was
like,
a different one.
It was a different kind of Barbie.
That was like even longer ago.
Oh, I see.
And they were probably like, Pregnant Midge is going to do awesome. Yeah. Look, it had a removable belly.
Oh my gosh. But you couldn't put the baby in the belly for ours?
No. Okay. No, you could. So there was one where it was like the baby was inside the Barbie.
Okay.
We definitely had this doll. Yeah, I remember because she had the magnets.
Oh my gosh. It is kind of coming back to me. What? Oh my gosh.
And oh my God.
We had Pregnant Midge.
So maybe we just had two pregnant midges.
Of course we did.
And one One lives in the basement with the belly on.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna show you this and you're gonna see the little the whole setup. It's gonna come to you.
Oh my God.
Because she had a little crib.
Oh no, the crib is very familiar.
Yeah. And that little baby.
Oh my gosh.
That's so crazy. Because I watched that movie, I was like, pregnant Midge, how insane. We had her.
It was us. Oh my gosh. It is all coming back.
Yeah.
Wow. We'll need to look back because mom still has all the Barbies for all the grandkids.
Oh
Maybe
my
we can
God.
find our pregnant midges. Oh
Oh my God.
goodness. Wow, this is pretty wild.
See, this is the other one that I was talking about where the Barbie didn't have a pregnant belly. She just had a hole where her organ should be, and then they put the baby in there. So she could still be thin.
Oh gosh.
And fit all her clothes.
Yeah, see that this one is the disturbing one where it's like, oh my gosh. Like, how did you make that and say like kids are gonna love this?
I don't know.
But yeah, updated Midge, that looks familiar.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So pregnant Midge, the big problem with her is that they only gave her one dress to wear.
Oh, one pregnancy.
And then she wouldn't fit in any of her other clothes.
But the stomach was removable, right?
Yeah, the stomach was removable. But like if you wanted her to be pregnant, she had to wear her one little outfit.
Yeah, her little nightgown dress. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Well, that was our childhood.
Yeah. That was it. Oh my God. Crazy.
Man, that is mind-boggling.
Oh my God. Here is knockoff Barbie. Knockoff Walmart pregnant Barbie.
No way.
Which like you think Barbie's like freaky. Wait till you see the Walmart one. I don't even know if this is real, but this Barbie, she is emaciated. Not only does she have a thigh gap, but it's like 2 feet in between.
Oh my gosh. Whoa, especially this picture. So the baby, the hole within the Barbie isn't even big enough for the baby. So you have to like slide it in there. And the way this picture is, you can like see the baby, but only like one eye. And it's kind of just like look giving you the side eye. Like,
Oh my God.
oh my
Okay,
God.
so it is real. It's for $9
That seems
on
like too much.
Walmart.
Her legs are really like the freakiest part of this are her legs.
Yeah, like because I mean Barbie's got some thin legs, but this girl like not even thick enough just for her bones.
I know. And they couldn't even support her as a plastic Barbie.
Yeah, let alone her and her baby.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
We'll have to drop some of these in our description or something somehow.
I don't know if we should pain other people with these.
People will want to know. They'll be
Yeah,
curious.
we should put them in.
Yeah. We'll just put some links.
To the Cupcake, to the Barbies.
Yeah.
Let us know. Did you play with Pregnant Midge?
Yeah. Who else had pregnant Midge? What were your Barbie stories?
Yeah. Did you have 2 of them? And did one live in the basement?
Oh my God. Well, the fundamental problem with Barbie is that there was just so many Barbies and not enough Kens that it really did encourage some level of polygamy. Because there wasn't enough Kens to go around.
There weren't. Or like unhealthy competition or something because we all wanted the one Ken.
Yeah, because like we couldn't even get like enough Kens for all of the people playing in the story. Because we had like 3 Kens and one of them was always like the worst Ken. And no one wanted him. So then it's like you want one of the top 2 Kens, but then you have like 45 Barbies. So it's like it really did become this ridiculous like fashion show contest. who can do the most to get the Ken. And with pregnant Midge, I guess they're like, we'll just share.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's no dad Ken, the dad bod. Maybe that's the next thing to come out.
Dad bod Ken.
Although the dad in the picture of with Barbie Midge, he had a camera around his neck, like one of the ones with like the lanyard, like he's about to, go on vacation and catch some good family photos.
Oh my God.
So
okay, so Mattel reveals dad bod and man bun Ken dolls.
You're joking.
2017. Nope.
What? They already made it. Oh
yeah, I guess someone submitted their story of
Beer belly broby, anyone? Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. This dad bod that I'm looking at, he still has abs. It looks like they got, because he's plastic, it looks like they got a flame torch and melted him. So he just became wider.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It does.
Oh my God. Okay. All right.
It just looks so disproportionate to everything else.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, our Barbie stories would be a lot different with Dad Bod Ken.
I agree. All right. Well, now that we've wasted 30 minutes,
let's get on to our 2-hour episode.
Let's start this 2-hour episode that we've been talking about condensing.
On that note, welcome to Bookalicious, a podcast where two sisters chat about books we're reading and Barbie dolls that we used to play with and didn't realize how concerning they were.
Share your stories.
I'm Chrissy.
And I'm Candice.
And today we are continuing our conversation on Elantris. Surprise, surprise. And we are picking up on a super meaty chapter that may take an hour in itself. Maybe not. I don't know. In these chapters, so much happens. I honestly don't have a lot of notes because it's just like bam, bam, bam. Big scene.
Yeah. I don't even know. Whoa. This chapter is 15 pages. Normally a chapter's 3.
Is it really?
For my book.
Wow. So this is chapter 32, right?
Yeah.
Wow, is it really that long? I believe it. I mean, a lot happens. And it's Serene's chapter, and her chapters tend to be longer. And in this one, she like goes to 5 different places and uncovers all these details. Oh, wow. Mine is, let's see, 62 to 80. That's 18 pages. Yeah. Mine's 18 pages.
Yeah. Okay, so let's think about how this chapter is broken out.
Okay. So in my notes, also, so this chapter is called Aha, which means breath or air. It's continuing that whole cycle of chapters.
Okay.
And it starts with Serene going to Roial's party that she made him throw. So she wants him to throw this big party and she doesn't tell him why. And so it starts off there with them going to that.
Yeah, so why don't we just start with a summary of the party, and then just to remind everyone where we're at, in the last Serene chapter, she completely I was gonna say emaciated, that's not it. What do you call when you destroy a man?
Yeah, emasculate.
She completely emasculated the king, Iodon.
Yeah, she left him in crumbles on his desk, crying himself.
Yeah, he crumpled up and basically, like, he was going to send all of his guards to Elantris, and she's like, you are nothing. You don't deserve to be king. You're the worst. Here are some facts. And she's laid it all out there for him. And when it was all presented to him, he just fell apart. And everyone heard about it. And now it's the talk of the town. And now not only does everyone know that he only has money because of Serene, they also know that Serene is just running circles around him. So he is just totally embarrassed.
Yeah.
And now Serene's having like the party of the century.
Yeah, and she's Roial's date to this party. Roial's the guy who's throwing it. She's his fancy date. And she's like, oh,
Yes.
Aiden's totally fine, while Aiden is still crumpled on the floor.
Yes. And so she has it on, is it a Wednesday night?
I think so. Well,
She has it.
they have different day names here, but I think the idea is that it's a Wednesday.
Yeah. So she has it on a Wednesday, and that's important because that's when Serene thinks that Aiden goes out to do his sneaky meetings.
Right. Right. So we don't know initially that that's the reason why she wanted this day. It's also like the full moon or something like that. That's the cover. It's like a shooting star. Something's going to happen. And she's like, we have to have it on this night because that's when we can see the moon. And it's going to be outside. And also it's going to be late in the night is another key part because Aiden's secret meetings happen at night. And so we find out that her plan is Aiden will be at this party because even though he's been totally demolished, he still needs to make an appearance. And she also thinks that he'll go to his meeting and she can follow him there and figure out what's going on.
Yes.
All right. So first half at the moon party. So in the beginning of the chapter, we hear Serene's thoughts about how people perceive her. And whenever she walks into a room, people like look away and they like look down and all their conversations stop. And even with the servants, they also like don't want to talk to her. She notices that the servant women still are bringing her food late, and she says it's because like, oh, we're short staffed, but Serene's like, it's because they hate me. And then she has this thought, why in the blessed name of Domi does everyone in this country feel so threatened by an assertive woman?
Oh my God, I underline that too.
Yeah, I know. I was like, my gosh, I thought that was so outrageous because I'm like, Serene, you just like completely annihilated the king. I would be scared of you too.
Yeah. I know. It's like she's Bloody Mary and she just like killed 1,000 people. And she's like, people are just upset with an assertive woman who does what needs to be done.
You're like, no, that was mean.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it last time. It kind of seemed that that's what needed to happen.
Yeah.
But it's like you kind of have to accept the consequences of that.
Yeah.
So the next line that I underlined was in relation to that. So basically, Serene's kind of having this pity party for herself where she's like, done it again. I was too assertive and too smart, and now people don't like me. And she's moping around. And so they're at the party, and Roial is talking to Serene, and he says, Serene, we didn't ask for your leadership. You wiggled your way in and seized control. Now that you've done so, you can't just leave us because of injured feelings. When you accept authority, you must be willing to take responsibility for it at all times, even when you don't particularly feel like it.
Oh.
And I was like, thank God someone said something.
I know. I thought that was a good line. Like, yeah, you're right. Kind of like what you were saying. You got to take the responsibility when things go well and also when things go terribly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was a really wise line from Roial, and I have some conspiracy theories about Roial, but that one was a good line.
Go for it. What's your conspiracy theory?
All right, so some of it comes up in this chapter. Like later, the Roial and Serene are walking around, and they're like looking at all the people, and we're reminded that Roial is one of the most marriageable men. And then he says this line of like, all the women are coming to him or whatever, and then he says this line. I find far too much enjoyment in playing with their greedy little minds. And I was like, ugh, that feels like Sugar Daddy Ken. That's what he would say.
Yes, that Roial gives me the ick. And he talked about this too at like his first ball with Serene when they're like dancing around. And he's like, if they want me for my money, then I'm going to make them work for it.
Yeah. And you're like, oh.
And you're just like, gag. And it's like, I get it where it's like it is a transaction. If that's like the agreement that you are in, it is a transaction. But I I think what makes the ick, and I don't know why it doesn't feel as icky from the girl going to the guy as the guy going to the girl. Maybe that's something I need to think about. But it just feels so icky because it's like Royal's just looking at these women as like objects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like just like sex machines.
Right. Yeah, which is super gross. And to your point, I mean, women are maybe also objectifying Roial of like, oh, he's just like our money machine, you know, and like
Exactly.
both are bad positions to be in. But we just so happen to be seeing Royal's thought process, and it's super gross.
I guess that's a good point. Like if we saw her and she was just like, oh, he's a disgusting old man, but he'll be dead soon and I'll be able to get all his money, we'd be like, ick too.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I,
Okay. Mhm.
so I think going back to the sugar daddy thing, I think what gives me the ick is just the objectifying of people.
Mhm.
And to me, I feel like it does kind of go both ways. Now, but still with the caveat that like if both people are willingly agreeing to that
That's a decision
contract,
taken.
right, then that's something that like you're free to do. And
Mhm.
that's okay. But it can still give me the ick and be
Yeah.
okay.
I know. Which that we do see maybe a little bit of a good amount of objectifying in the book, because Harathan is using the Elantrians as little pawns in his whole scheme too. You know, like
Yeah,
feel at that.
that's an interesting point. Yeah, where you have like these people with power using others as like objects and pawns and things.
Yeah.
And maybe with the sugar daddy thing, the other thing that also gives me more ick on the sugar daddy side versus the ATM machine side is that I do think there is a slight power imbalance with the money machine.
Yeah.
So,
Right. And it's like, do you have consent when there's that much power imbalance? Or
exactly.
yeah.
Right. And I think it's so easy for it to start off as, oh, this is an arrangement. And then for you to get entrenched to a point where it's like, okay, I was comfortable with it on levels 1, 2, and 3, but now we're kind of progressing to a point where I'm like, I'm not really comfortable with this anymore.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of like stuck.
Right. Yeah, yeah. It's no longer an agreement, but an expectation that you don't want to be a part of.
Yeah. And I think the other part too is that like sex is, it is like a human desire. And some would say like a need, but in terms of like your hierarchy of needs, you need money before you need sex.
Yeah.
And so it's like the goods that are being exchanged are not like super equivalent, I feel like.
Oh, I see.
And it's easier, like, if you're kind of like, well, I need money because I need food, you're kind
Yeah,
of stuck with this person.
I see what you're saying. Right.
But he could go out to any old girl, it seems like.
Yeah. And get the enjoyment he's looking for.
Yeah. He can go and get like, there's like a lot of options for him, but there's not a lot of options for the women who are offering this, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And I feel like that kind of adds to like the power imbalance and like the ick to it all.
Yeah. Okay, so do we think Roial is super ick? Because Serene doesn't seem to think Roial is super ick.
Because Serene has her own money.
Mm. She knows she's not being she knows she couldn't be used by Roial.
Not in that way.
Not in that way. Mm.
I think Roial, I give him the stamp of ick. What do you give?
Okay, well, this was my whole conspiracy theory, is that Roial yes, so this led in perfectly. That Roial seems to be this good guy, and he's the one who let Serene into the boys club because he gave
Mm-hmm.
her his stamp of approval, and then everyone else was like, okay, well, if Roial says so, then sure. But I don't think you can have a good character who has these major flaws that are things that he's like working on, but is just like, that's just gross kind of thing. Like, I don't think you would write a character who ends up being good who has those gross qualities. And
Mm-hmm.
throughout this, we've noticed, I forget exactly where, but we've thought that there's some secret spy going on. And I
A
think
leak.
a leak. And I think Roial is the leak. Because also Roial, I think we already know this by now. Roial was there when Iadon was first king or something, and he was on his side. But then Roial was like, "Oh, never mind, this isn't good," and so then he like left. But I think he never really left, and I think he's still secret spy for Iadon, and maybe he was even behind Raoden getting taken by the Shead or whatever it's called.
Oh, interesting.
I think Roial, he's the villain here.
Okay, so devil's advocate. What if Roial doesn't really feel these things? Because we don't get his inner monologue. We just get what he's saying. And what if he feels a certain way about all of these women clamoring onto him and he knows that they're just trying to use him for his money?
Yeah.
And so he makes these comments to try to put himself in a position of strength versus kind of being like preyed upon. And the only reason why I say that maybe he's just saying that but doesn't feel like that, like doesn't feel that, is because he hasn't acted on any of these suggestions.
That is true. And I could see that he's maybe similar to Serene in that respect of distancing himself from his emotions. And he like feels used and he's like, I'm going to play it off as like, oh, I'm using them too. But really, like, he's a nice guy and doesn't want that. I could see that. But I feel, in my mind, I feel like if the author wanted us to pick up on that, there would be a detail of like, Roial said, I'm just using them or whatever, ha ha ha. But Serene could tell there was a glimmer of sadness in his eye or something.
I think he does say that later on.
No way.
We won't get to this chapter, but just remind me when we get there.
I think I maybe know the point you're talking about, but maybe he's a really good actor. I don't know.
We'll see. Okay, but right now in this stage of the game, what we know, I'm giving him ick, and you're giving him mole.
What does that mean?
He's a mole.
Oh,
like a leak.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm giving him mole, even though I used to like him. I think he's a mole.
Yeah. Okay. But he did give good advice. So maybe you can be icky and you can be a mole, but you can also give good advice.
Yeah, they're very nuanced characters.
Yes. So Roial said another thing shortly after that line that I highlighted. And Roial said to Serene, we've come to rely on you so much in these last few weeks. You crept into our hearts and did what no one else, even myself, could have done. You unified us. And then he goes on and he just like talks about how great she is. And then he concludes his thought with saying, don't leave us now. We need you. So I think it's interesting that he said, you did what no one else, even myself. And I'm inferring maybe even Raoden.
Yeah.
And she unified them.
Whoa. Yeah, I know. I highlighted that one too. At least I mentally did, because again, this is my library book that is now overdue.
Oh no.
But anyway, yeah, I underlined that one too. And I think that it reminded me of, if this book is about living out your purpose and how that is very important to, your life fulfillment or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Raoden has been very unsatisfied in Elantris. I think it's because his purpose isn't to lead people, even though that's, he's a prince and whatever. And so he's trying to lead Roial and the guys club. But even though he was great, he wasn't the best fit maybe. And now Serene's coming and her purpose is to lead. And so she's like kind of naturally was able to unify everybody.
Yeah, she was able to do it in 3 weeks, and Iadon had his whole life, or not Iadon, Raoden had his whole life, and they were still kind of waffling on what to do.
Right. Yeah. She's got something special.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
So one of the lines in that paragraph is that Roial tells her, Shuden and Eondel all but worship you, and blah, blah, everyone likes you. And I thought that was a point for Serene being an unreliable narrator, because we had just heard her say like, oh, nobody likes me. They all look away when I walk into the room, which maybe is true, but also she is very adored and respected by at least the guys club who knows her, and probably others.
Yeah, I think it does go a little bit into the unreliable narrator part. I agree with that, but I could easily see how her next conclusion would be they worship me, therefore I am separate.
Yeah, that's true too.
Because she does seem to say that a lot, where she's like, they respect me, but they don't like think that I'm equal with them. I'm like separate.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Right. No one's trying to woo her and court her around.
Yeah. But I do think that that is a good point where it's like Roial's saying, like, you have all these people who are like in your corner and they support you and they think you're great and they think you're awesome and they're thinking you're doing such a good job.
Yeah.
And she's just kind of like focusing on this one aspect of that, which is like they think I'm better than them and like blah 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 blah. And she kind of goes like off on a tangent. So I think you're right where she's not accepting the full perspective. She's just zeroing in on this one thing that she has an insecurity about.
Yeah. Which I think also goes along with she's been trying to distance herself from her emotions, but you really can't do that. Because if you're to look at things objectively, it's like, wow, objectively, you're doing so good, Serene. But it's like, but emotionally, things are not going well. And that's kind of becomes her the only thing she focuses on, even though she tries to distance herself from the emotional part.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I think it's all connected there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my next line I think is a little pages after. So what's your next thing?
So I always find it interesting with perspective books when characters, when like different characters see other characters.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's like you have Serene's narrative of how she views herself, but how does Hrathen look at her? How does Raoden look at her?
Yeah.
And that's always interesting to me because there's always like slight differences. And so we see Delof come in.
Our favorite.
And so we see Serene's perception of him. And so she says, inside was a short man dressed completely in red. Serene recognized the young Aeonic priest who had served as Hrathen's assistant. And Serene underestimates Delof. So Roial says, I think we may have traded Hrathen for a foe of equal danger. And she says, him? Serene said with surprise. She'd see the young man with Hrathen, of course, even remarked on his apparent fervor. However, he could hardly be as dangerous as the calculating Jorn. Could he? And so here's Serene thinking like, oh, well, this Delof guy, he doesn't have the status of Jorn, so he couldn't possibly be as dastardly.
Mm-hmm.
And she, even though she's seen his hate speeches, but
right.
She has no idea.
Right. Yeah. And we see Roial again kind of being the wise guy of like, no, actually you should pay attention to him.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then the last line that I highlighted was Roial being a wise old man again. And he said, I've noticed those who turn away from a faith are often more hateful toward it than any outsider could be.
Yeah.
And I think that that's very accurate.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I think because like I think there's a very fine line between love and hate, number one. So I think it's very hard to go from like love, like this is what I believe, to neutral.
Yeah.
And I think for someone to go from love to I'm not going to do this anymore, or I'm going to do the exact opposite, as in Delof's case, it is something bad has to happen.
Yeah.
Something somewhere has to happen to where you're kind of like, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And so then whatever that catalyst is that makes you change your perspective, you look back at your old way of thinking and it makes you mad or upset.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Also, I mean, you actually know what it is, because I think if you kind of vaguely know of something like a religion or something else, it's hard to hate it because you don't even know what it is. But if you are like deeply steeped in something and then you turn away from it, then you're like, oh, yeah, you're exactly right. I turned away from it because of this and this reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I have like a detailed, I don't know, dislike,
Opinion.
right, opinion. Yeah. So, but what's interesting, I've also heard it said that the opposite of love isn't hate, but it's indifference. So maybe it also makes more sense that going from love to hate is an easier transition than from love to indifference.
Yes, I would agree with that.
But yeah, so now we see Serene and Delof crossing paths. And we'll see what happens. That's kind of it, all that we hear of Delof here.
Mm-hmm. The next thing that I have, it's on the next page. It's about the constellations that they're looking at.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
So Serene's just like looking outside, it's dark, and then she sees the major aeons as the constellations. And so she sees Roial, which is for Raoden, shown directly overhead, a large square with 4 circles on its side and a dot in the center, and her own aeon Na crouched barely visible on the horizon. The full moon rose ponderously towards its zenith.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So anyway, I just thought that was like interesting because it's like she's looking and the two aeons that she sees over the town is Raoden and then herself.
Yeah, I thought that was sweet.
Yeah.
It reminded me, do you remember the end of The Princess and the Frog?
No.
When it's like the little cricket guy or something. And he's like in love with Evangeline. And then at the end of it,
Oh.
yeah, Evangeline dies, but then she becomes a star and she's twinkling. And he's like, Evangeline.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cute. But another point, it could be that Raoden and Serene are kind of like watching over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Can't eat it.
Now you could maybe also take it as foreshadowing because it says the full moon. The full moon is coming towards the peak. We're coming to the peak of the book.
Oh,
And
yeah.
wait a minute. Maybe I'm not reading this right. The full moon rose ponderously towards its zenith. In just a few hours, it would vanish completely. The moon vanishes completely?
I think so because actually this is an eclipse party.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, the moon
Okay.
is covered.
I wonder what that means.
Okay. So actually, a few chapters ago, we had mentioned how the sun was at its peak and it was like very hot. And every chapter, people were like, "Oh, it's so hot out here." And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so we see that, and we could have something with like lightness and darkness here, where the light is like, here's all the good things happening, and now we're about to see the peak of the darkness happening.
Yes. I think there's definitely, if we had more information and time, we could dig that out. But I think there's a lot of imagery there and
I think,
foreshadowing.
yeah, I think you're right. And Ian is barely visible on the horizon. Maybe no one sees her coming.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for a little bit. It's just kind of like party banter.
Okay. Yeah, so we have a lot of party banter. We learn more about the relationships that other people have in this chapter, especially like romantic relationships. And we also hear some insight on Serene's engagement when she was in Teod. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so we learn that when she was in Teod, she's like, no one wants to marry me. And then she decided that she would pretend to be subservient. And when she did that, then she got engaged to somebody. But then she was like, oh my gosh, I can't live my whole life as a lie and pretend to be subservient for the next 80 years. So then she ended up breaking off her engagement.
Yeah.
And then the man, she said, merely a boy, he had to go into hiding for 3 years because it was so embarrassing. And then she became a diplomat and then she left the country. And that's how it ended.
Yeah, so basically that was kind of like, you can imagine the most uneligible princess in the whole wide world per Serene. And then this guy takes pity on her and he's like, well, I'll date you. And then he gets broken up by her. And then he's like, oh my God, I have to go into like Secret Service underground.
Yeah. He was like, I was trying to do something nice for you. Now I'm so
Yeah.
embarrassed. Yeah.
The flip side of that is, if Serene's not a reliable narrator, is that maybe Serene was so good at playing the part that he really loved her, who he
Maybe.
saw. And so he was just like really upset about it.
That's true. That could be it. Um, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I do think
We,
uh-huh.
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I do think though, and this was one of my notes, was wow, that's really sad that all that happened. But also I was like, good for you, Serene, for ending it, because she says in that paragraph that she broke off the engagement, not because she knew living with a dull-minded Grayo would have driven her mad, but because she had realized that she was being unfair. She had taken advantage of his simple ingenuousness. Um, and so I was like, that's really hard to do, to break off an engagement. And she realized that she was being mean to him and kind of like playing with him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's better to break off the engagement than to submit both of you to a lifetime of unhappiness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We also find out that one of the cooks is missing, the female cooks.
Oh,
And that's because Serene was like, oh, they're making my food late because they hate me. But then you're like, no, they're just actually understaffed. Another female cook went missing, which is going to become important in the second half of this chapter.
dun dun dun.
And then we also find out that all of the lower nobility are like really trying to suck up to the king, Iadon, because one of the people from the boys club, Edon, who had the chasm land that wasn't doing well, he ran away.
Oh, right.
So now his plot of land is available.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so they're all trying to vie for. So does the king have the power to just give it to somebody? Is that what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Which it kind of sounds like that's not how it goes, and that it should be the person who has the most money. But maybe he can give you the land and then that becomes part of your money. I don't know.
yeah, I could see that the land just becomes the like government's again, and then
Yeah.
that could make sense. Put it up for auction or something.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the politics that's happening. Roial's being a creep, and then Serene is seeing Shuden and what's her name? Terena?
Yeah, Tirana.
And they're just being like lovey-lovey, so cute, even though Shuden had been like, I'm never gonna get married. But Terena is just so simple-minded and just able to capture him with her very averageness, which Serene's like, I wish I too could be average and capture a man.
Right. And Serene is like, so Royal says, it looks like as if your best friend just died. And then she goes, no, just my husband. And you're like,
God.
but yeah, so Serene is very sad seeing all these happy people. And then we get this wild line later where Serene is now seeing Lukel and Jala, her cousin, I guess, and she's also sad again. And then Royal says, you're gonna need to get over that, Serene. You can't go running every time you meet someone who's in a stable relationship. I was just like, oh my gosh, kind of true. But also, I wasn't sure what he meant when he said you need to get over that, because I thought he meant you need to get over your husband dying. And I was like, I mean, it's been like 3 weeks. That's
Yeah, but it's like Serene has said, she's like, I didn't care about this guy. I didn't even know him. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I think Serene's problem is that it kind of seems like she's not so into the prince or any of that. It seems like she was just really excited to be able to check this box off and be married. And I feel like she has this idea that once you're married, that you're going to be happy and everything's going to be great and you're going to go to all these parties and your life is just going to be amazing. And she just has this very like naive idea of what it is to be in a long-term committed relationship and be married to someone.
I thought it more was like she wants someone who's in her corner no matter what, because right now she has to be her own corner all the time.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's kind of more how I took it. Like she wants someone who's on her side. But I do think I see some of that too, of like oversimplifying, like, I just want to be married because that's what I'm supposed to do and it'll be great.
Yeah, I think she's just kind of romanticized a lot of what it's like to be in a relationship. And she just wants that desire.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that was kind of my take on it. But
yeah. Okay, so we see her seeing all the other people.
We get a weird. Oh, go ahead.
No. What's your thing?
I said we get a weird fat phobia line from Sanderson.
Oh yeah, that's right. When does that happen?
For me, it's page 403.
Okay.
And so it's Roial and then his arch nemesis Ahan, who's like very round. His wife's very round, and then their daughter is Terena, who's dating Shuden.
Right.
And it says the large count was draped in a yellow robe, clutched a plate full of crackers and shellfish. His wife's plate, however, held only a few slices of fruit. During the weeks Sedan, the wife, had been attending Serene's fencing lessons, she had lost considerable weight. And then it kind of goes on, and then Ahan is like, he's like, actually, you can ask me. Just look what you're doing to my poor wife. She refuses to eat. I'm just enjoying my fruit, Ahan, Sedan says. I think you should try some of it. And then he says, maybe I'll try a plate of it after I'm done here, Ahan huffed. You see what you're doing, Serene? I would have never have agreed to this, quote, fencing thing if I had known how it would ruin my wife's figure. Ruin? Serene asked with surprise. I'm from South Arelon, princess. And then he talks about how round is beautiful and he doesn't want all of their women to look like starving schoolboys. And he says, no offense intended, of course.
Oh my gosh. So Roial is the guy behind Sugar Daddy Ken, and Ahan is the guy between, I guess he wouldn't be the Walmart Barbie with the dangerously thin legs. He would be, I don't know who he'd be.
I don't know what Barbie he would be, but to me, well, maybe it's not fat phobia. Maybe that's too strong of a word.
No, I got similar vibes.
I think it's maybe from like Serene's perspective, she's like thin is better.
Yeah.
And then we're seeing from Ahan, he's kind of like, no, he's like, I love my big curvy girl. Right. He's like, and look at her, she's wasting away.
Yeah. I think Serene being surprised that, I think that shows that she does have the assumption that like thinner is better. But also Ahan saying not everyone wants their women to look like starving schoolboys. That raises a lot of things too, of like, no.
Yes.
And also she just wants to fence, and maybe she's not doing it for how you think of her body, you know?
Right. There's a lot there that tickled me in a bad way.
Yeah, I think so too. Serene's had a few interactions like that though, especially with the guys, where she's like, I forget what Roial had said, but it was something along the lines of like, oh, I might as well make them work for it if they're gonna get me for my money. And then Serene like laughs, was like, ha ha ha, good joke. And it's like, what?
Have you ever heard of like a pick-me girl?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
Here, I'll Google it. It's kind of like, honestly, at this point, it's kind of women tearing down women, so I don't love it.
Oh.
So pick me girl, slang derogatory. And usually it's women talking about other women with this, which that's what I don't love about it. Because I just think that we just shouldn't worry about it. But what it means, a woman who asserts that she is unlike and sometimes better than most women in order to gain attention, approval, or validation from men.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so one of you guys. She's like, I'm not like them. I'm one of you guys.
And I feel like Serene is pick me girl vibes, which is like, I hate to say that because like here I am, woman tearing down woman, but
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it.
I could see some of that.
Yeah, because it kind of just seems like Serene just has a very low opinion of other women.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially stepping into a place that's very different from her own, and the women have had a different like upbringing than she had, and they weren't allowed to fence and stuff. And so she's like, oh my goodness, all they do is sew all day. It's like, well, they're in a different world than where you came from.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So Serene, and I think maybe that's like fundamentally what makes me feel ugh about her is that she kind of gives me these vibes where she's just not supporting other women. And it's like when these men are saying derogatory things, whether about being like too thin or too big or this or to this, whatever it is, she's always like, ha 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 ha, ha. Like, you're so funny.
Yeah, she doesn't defend them. She joins in.
Yeah. And it's like, maybe you could say, hey, she's been doing a lot of work and she's trying to improve her athletic ability. And so that's why she's eating the fruit.
Right. Right. Yeah, there's a lot of other reactions she could have had.
Yeah, but instead she's just like ruined. Like, oh my God, she's so much more improved. She looks more like me now.
That's what you wanted?
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. Okay. So does Serene have the ick stamp for you?
Serene, she's kind of giving me the ick.
On as ick as Roial?
No.
Yeah. She has some more redeeming qualities. I mean, we're getting her inside scoop too, though.
Yeah.
So okay. All right. Any other things for the moon party?
Sour melons come back up.
Oh yeah, the sour melons with Lucal.
And we find out that Roial and Lucal went in on it together. And Ahan shook his head, laughing in a low voice. You got me again, Roial, but just you watch. One of these days, I'm finally going to get the better of you, and you'll be so surprised that you won't be able to look at yourself for a week.
I didn't know entirely what that line meant of like, how would you be so surprised you can't look at yourself for a week? But I thought that was so funny.
Like maybe his face will just be Botoxed in place of just shock. or he'll be so disgusted with himself for getting one-upped that he can't even bear to look at himself.
I like the Botox version. Because that's kind of the image I had in my mind. But I'm like, but you can still see, but his eyes are just like,
yeah, just like
so shut. But yeah, so Roial and Luca have gone on a business venture. I don't know, still getting some seedy conspiracy vibes from Roial.
Mm-hmm.
What happens?
That's all I had. The last thing that I had is that Ash, who's been keeping tabs on the king, is saying the king's leaving the party.
Ah, okay, yeah. So, which leads us to part 2 of this chapter. This is where things really pick up.
Yeah.
I mean, it already has. But anyways, yeah, so Ash comes and he's like, the king is leaving. And she's like, what? And then she's like, I must go now. And Royal's like, rude. The eclipse hasn't even happened. And she's like, I must go. And she doesn't tell anyone where she's going or why she's going, but she's going to go follow the king.
Yep.
And when she gets to his carriage, his little Uber that was going to drive him back home. Ash goes and he's like, he's not in that Uber. He walked home. And she was like, and so now Serena has to go like run through the forest to go follow King Iadon.
And then
this was my line when I wrote this summary. I my summary went, Serene is sad seeing happy couples and stable relationships. Serene skirts out early to follow the king. She's very surprised, and there's a lot of poop. So now we get
So
to the poop part.
yeah, so now that she is on foot, twigs in her hair, running through the forest after the king, then eventually the Sion slowed, returning to Serene with an apprehensive Bob. He just entered the sewers, my lady. And now Serene has gone through the forest, the twigs, and now she has to crawl into the sewers, and then we find out it's full of poop.
That is unfortunate, my lady. Ash says. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, but Serene is determined. Ash is like, this is too much. You need to go back home. And Serene's like, I'm doing it. So then she starts like tromping through the sewers. And
And so then we find out the reason why Serene picked the eclipse party, because she says, because Ash is like, go back. It's like, we can do this another time. And she says, no. Every week on Maydell, which we're thinking is Wednesday, at 11 o'clock, I hear scrapings in the passages that run through my wall, the one that leads to the king's room. And so she's like, something happened. We got to go.
yeah.
And so this is why she had the party, to kind of try to ferret the king out.
Right. Yeah. And then in response to that, the Scion made a slight of understanding, which maybe is a nod to the chapter title of Aha, which breath, but also sounds like Aha, I have found you.
Or maybe it's in reference to Ahan.
That too. Ahan made an appearance in this chapter. That's true.
And he made a promise to Roial that he's gonna one-up him.
Whoa. Maybe Ahan is the secret spy. Maybe they're both secret spies. That would make a lot of sense.
Spies against each other.
Yeah. They don't even realize it.
And then Serene is like, Ash is like, my lady, don't do this. What good could the king be doing in the sewers at midnight? And Serene, that is exactly what I intend to find out. And then as she's like going through and like imagining what could the king be doing, she said, perhaps Prince Raoden lived. Maybe Iadon hadn't confined him to the dungeons, but in the sewers. Serene might not be a widow after all. She's obsessed with being married.
I know, but yeah.
She's crawling through poop and she's like, maybe I'm not a widow.
Oh. Serene. Okay. And then she hears voices. And then she doesn't notice that there's a drop. She waved her desperate arms, barely stabilizing herself as she slid a few feet down the incline and came to a halt at the bottom. And then Serene looked up slowly, and King Iadon stared back, looking as stunned as she felt. What did she find?
Merciful Domi, Serene whispered. The king stood facing her behind an altar, a red-streaked knife raised in his hand. He was completely naked, except for the blood smeared on his chest. The remains of an eviscerated young woman lay tied to the altar, her torso sliced open from neck to crotch.
I was like, what? This was just such a turn from anything else I have read in this book. Like, there's
I know.
No violence, no like goriness, and this isn't gory really. Like, it's just a statement, but still, I was like, whoa! I was not expecting that. And clearly, Serene is stunned, and Iadon is also stunned to see her there.
Yes.
So we're all stunned in this moment. But she also notices that he has like a whole troop of men behind him in black robes, and they have Duladin runes sewn into their clothing. And Duladel is where Galadin is from. And we find out in this chapter 2 is where the Jesker religion is, and that what Iadon is doing is this Jesker sacrifice.
It's the mysteries.
Right.
Galadin would be very upset that you just confused the two.
Oh my gosh, I even had this in my notes. Right. So Jesker is a religion, and then the mysteries are like I don't know, perversion.
A perversion subset. Yeah.
And so he's doing the mystery part. But what makes this even crazier is that not only are the men in black robes there, and Serene's there, and Iadon is there, but as Serene is trying to run away, she looks around, and then Eondel is there. And then she notices Delof. And then lastly, she notices Roial, whose wrinkled face smiled in relief as he pulled Serene to her feet. And he says, maybe next time you'll tell me what you're planning, princess.
Have a flirty vibe.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Do you think that's kind of Royal's just like natural persona though, considering his, state in life?
I think Serene, I think she's kind of into him a little bit.
Oh.
I think she likes how he's into her.
Yeah, I think so. He's talking to her on a very like personal level. He doesn't feel like she's separate.
Yeah. And I think she really likes that.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he also like puts her in her place in good ways of like when
Yes.
she, whatever earlier in the chapter. He's like, no, no.
Mm-hmm.
So
So what did you, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so he does have some good qualities here.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did you think about this whole scene when you read it?
Oh my gosh, I was so surprised. It really threw me for a loop. I didn't believe it. Okay, let me look through my notes.
Because when I read this the first time, I remember being like very surprised, being like, what's happening? And like kind of confused about it all because I wasn't doing this deep analysis like we're doing. So I wasn't keeping track of the mysteries and the this and the that. So it didn't make 100% sense to me the first time I read it.
Yeah, I was super surprised. But it does answer, and I think we get this later in the chapter, that this is where all the maidservants have been disappearing to, is that he's sacrificing them. So that is shocking and terrible. And also seems like strangely, I was gonna say out of character for Iadon, because he seems kind of like bumbling, like not very smart, and he's dangerous in the sense that he is kind of greedy and doesn't make great decisions, but I didn't take him to be like the violent type, so this seemed like it felt kind of out of the blue.
It did feel out of the blue, and I was kind of like, who introduced him to this? How did he get here?
Right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, with Iadon's character, I think we just get giant jumps from one thing to the next, to where he's like suddenly crying and he's crumpled on the floor, and suddenly he's doing mysteries, and you're like, what? So we don't get a lot of the in between things for him. But I did have a prediction here that maybe he's doing these mysteries. He's like asking for something, right? I think Serene says that later, like he's doing this big sacrifice if he has like a big request or something. And maybe his request was to destroy Serene. That was a thought I had. And maybe these sacrifices are also somehow tied in with how Raoden became an Elantrian. And I'm wondering, could there even be some sort of connection, like how Harathan was able to order this potion to become an Elantrian? Maybe there's some other way you can also actually become an Elantrian. And whoever introduced Iadon to these mysteries, maybe Roial, I don't know, it's like, hey, do this thing and this will happen because of the gods, but actually it's that character who's making it happen behind the scenes.
Interesting. So in the next segment of the chapter, we do find out that Iadon was sacrificing the women to try to hurt Serene.
It does say, Serene says, well, at least now we know what happened to the maids and cooks who disappeared from the palace. And then Roial says, I guess he'd been involved with the mysteries for a long time. Perhaps even since the Rayad. Oh, Serene said, the mysteries sometimes involve sacrifices. Iadon must have wanted something very badly. He seemed to think the king was petitioning the Jesker spirits to destroy someone for him. Oh, me? Serene asked. Okay, so that wasn't my own thought. The book said maybe it's because he wants to destroy Serene.
Yeah, I thought there was somewhere that was even more explicit than that, but maybe that's just what it was. Oh, because Roial nodded. And then the Art of Deloth said the instructions were written on the altar in that woman's blood. Yeah, so I took away from this that it was very, to me, it felt like obvious that Iodon was like trying to get rid of Serene. And so he was using all of these women as sacrifices, trying to do kind of like voodoo magic to hurt her in some way.
Okay. Okay, so we find out that we think that Iodin was doing all these sacrifices in order to hurt Serene.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And potentially this was also related to Raoden earlier. We don't know.
Yeah, it's possible, yeah, that he started with, it's possible because Roial says he might have been doing this since the Riad. So what if because he always hated Elantris.
Oh, so he brought in their downfall, maybe.
What if he did?
Whoa. Iodin had a front like Serene had a front.
Yeah.
No one would thought this would something so clever would come from him.
So it's possible that he was doing this for a long time. And if you're doing something for a long time, my takeaway is that it works, whether it's coincidence or it's real.
Okay. Right.
So my assessment is that he's probably been doing some of this like dark magic type of thing for a long time. And maybe it worked, maybe it didn't, but there was probably some coincidences at a minimum where he's like, I've been wishing the downfall of Elantris for a long time so that I can take over. And then Elantris falls. And he's like, wow, amazing. And then maybe he's like, I'm hoping my son goes away because he's really trying to, get one over on me. And maybe it was going to happen anyway, but it just coincidentally happened.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that could be it. I wonder if we're gonna learn more about this. I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see. Interesting. Okay, but this definitely really took a turn. I was surprised. Oh, and also you already said that Delof was there, and Serene was like, "Who let Delof in?" And Roial was like, "He was following us, and we were in such a hurry that I couldn't like figure out a way to make him leave," which is very believable. But also, I'm still suspicious of Roial. So I don't know about that. But Delof made his way in, and so now Delof was there, and I forget. I think it says he looked very satisfied or something. Oh, Delof didn't join the fighting, but he stood to the side with a fascinated look on his face. So I feel like Delof is just like, wow, I have so many tools in my arsenal now to destroy this place.
Yeah. So with Delof, he doesn't realize that Hrathen drank that potion.
Right.
So for Delof, I think it was just very like happenstance where he's like, ugh, this Jorn is like really bothering me. And then he disappears.
Yeah.
And then he's like, fab. And then he's like, I'm going to go to the parties now and I'm going to wear the red outfit. Because this is the first time we've heard of him coming to the party in the red outfit.
That's true. That is significant.
Yeah. So now he's at the party. And then he goes and he sees the king. And then the king has just imploded. And now he's like, fab. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, Delof's like, everything is just falling into place for me.
Yeah. Because at first, my kind of thought was that maybe Delof kind of got the king in on the mysteries somehow.
Could be. I mean, honestly, it could still be that Delof is fascinated because, like, look at where my plan took him.
Yeah. And it's like Delof hates Elantris. Iodon hates Elantris. Delof seems like very conniving. When I read this, I remember thinking that like there's some things happening with Delof and Iodon that we're not privy to at this point.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Because also Delof just seems very well versed in, I think, a lot of religions. Right? Or at least he's very well versed in his religion, and it's like very unexpected, something like that. So I could see that he also knows enough about the mysteries and about Jesker to say to like lead Iodin into this.
Yeah, and if he's from Arelon, right next to Arelon was Duladel, which is where the Jesker mysteries popped up.
Okay, right.
So there's probably just some very like tribal knowledge just kind of passed around just from being neighbors.
Yeah.
A familiarity there.
Yeah. Fascinating.
So do you think that Iadon's sacrifices were working?
I don't think so. Because if there is actually like a god in this book, I don't think Sanderson would make him so that he actually responds to sacrifices like this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my thought.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought too.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we got through that big chapter, it only took us an hour. The next chapter is only a page, so I think we'll get through that fast.
That is true. That'll all average out. Okay, so now we are in Hrathen's chapter, and again, it's called Aha, which means breath or air. And my summary is that Hrathen is still praying, so he's still looks like an Elantrian in Elantris, and he's been praying the whole time. But now he's hungry because it's been 3 days. And so then he still has his moldy basket of like offering food. It hasn't gotten stolen yet. So then he like shuffles over there and like eats through all the mold. And then he sits back down and keeps on praying.
And I think the biggest point is that Hrathen, when he comes from his like praying stupor, he looks up and it's nighttime and there isn't even any moonlight. Yeah. So this is happening at the same time that everything else is happening with Serene's chapter.
Right. And he gives some more insight because it says he hadn't realized that there'd be a lunar eclipse this night. He had stopped paying attention to such things since he left Duladel. That nation's now extinct pagan religion had ascribed special importance to the heavens movements, and the mysteries often practiced their rituals on such nights. So he's kind of giving some more insight onto maybe why the king was doing such a big sacrifice tonight and how this is all like intersecting here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But we get some more insight too of into Hrathen because he is looking at the like the sky, and he says, I finally understood what had prodded the Jeskers to regard nature with such religious wonder. And he's still having this tension of, there's these people who are worshiping nature. He's like, I don't agree with that, but also they have like such a feeling of awe and wonder, and maybe that's what I should have for God, and I don't have that.
But then he says he was not a zealot. He would never be a man of extreme passion. In the end, he followed Dorothy because it made sense. That would have to be enough. And so I kind of took that sentence as like Hrathen was kind of having this inner turmoil with his religion, and he's all logical based, not passion based. Is that okay? What does that mean? And after this experience of praying and being in Elantris for the past couple of days, he's kind of like, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of concluded this internal turmoil, and now he's 100% back on board.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is kind of significant too, because he was having some questions and doubts of like, oh, what am I doing? What am I supposed to be doing? And we see that shift. And then at the end of the chapter, after he's eaten, Hrathen restarted his prayer, and it says he would always continue as he always had, doing his best to serve in Lord Jadith's empire. There was nothing else God could expect of him. So it's like all God needs is just that obedience, whether he has the emotion or not.
Yeah. And I think the other part, so I highlighted the first part of that paragraph. So Hrathen stared up with renewed resolve. He might lack passion, but he had an ample serving of determination. And then he restarted his prayer. And so basically my take on that was that he's making this big visible showing as if he does have all of this passion and determination. But really, he doesn't have any passion, and he's only doing it for show.
Yeah.
Because he thinks that's what he's supposed to be doing.
Right. Yeah. So he's going to keep on doing it.
He's going to keep on doing it.
Yeah. This is like Hrathen's little retreat center.
Yes.
Yes. You ever did peace and quiet so much, you become an Elantrian.
Exactly.
All right. Anything else on chapter 33?
Nope, that's it.
Wow, shortest one yet.
I know. The chapters start getting a lot shorter now.
Yeah. I mean, things just keep happening. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, we're starting to move fast. So let's do chapter 34 summary.
Okay, so chapter 34, we're in a new cycle of chapters, and so this trilogy of chapters is called Ash, which means light or illumination. It is also the name of Serene's Eon. And we're back to Raoden's perspective, and here we see some shifts in power, especially with Shior's gang, which really just kind of takes a plunge. And then Raoden also finds out more about Elantris, Aendor, and Seance. And at the very end, we see Raoden and Hrathen intersecting a little bit, and we see Hrathen's plan develop.
Yep.
Okay, so that first part opens with Raoden looking at Shior's men, and basically some of them have come and I think in the last chapter he had given them food, like the corn seeds, whatever, and they couldn't eat it, they had to cook it. And so Raoden's trying to like lead them back to humanity and rationality. And some of the men have gotten it and they've started cooking, and now they're kind of being restored back to their rational selves. But he says that some men have they're too far gone. That they're like beasts, and that he's trying to restore their rational minds, but they have surrendered their intellect, and regardless of whether psychology or the door was to blame, it would never return.
Yes, and basically those men have become very loyal to Raoden because they were really loyal to Shior because they thought she was the most powerful because she had her pretty dress and hair. But now that Raoden came in and was like, here's food and I can cook it for you, he's like, you're the most powerful.
Yeah.
So until someone takes over Raoden's position, they're going to be eternally loyal.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. There's some good lines here. Also, just a side note, we see some more like gruesome death here because Shior's men come and they bring their peace offering of Shior's wig, and it's like stained with blood. And I was like, oh my gosh. And they never found Shior's body, which
is Shior alive or dead?
She's dead and they ate her.
Oh, interesting.
So I didn't even think she'd be alive.
So fantasy trope is that no one's ever dead.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. And also
fantasy trope is like, unless you see them dead, and even then it's not 100%.
Especially in Elantris, I guess. But they don't really die unless she went to the pool.
Exactly.
So actually maybe she's still alive and they didn't eat her.
I think them eating her would make the most sense.
I kind of thought so too.
Because his people never found Shior's body. Because at first I was like, that meant because she's still alive.
Oh,
but I think it makes more sense that they ate her.
That was my thought.
I
don't know. It made sense. But we also get this line when he's thinking about like how they're now so loyal to him and have completely left Shior. He says, to their simple, degenerate minds, there is only one thing to do when faced by a god more powerful than their own: convert. And I thought that was interesting because we see a lot of conversions happening in the book. And also, is that just what people are doing in Arelon too? When they see someone like Hrathen or Dilaf, they're like, all right, sure, I'll follow this. And maybe are we not that different from Shior's men?
I think that's a good analogy. And I think a lot of times people imagine that we are so much more sophisticated than animals. Because you're like, oh, we can think and we can do this and da 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 da. But at our core, I feel like we are much more similar to animals than we would like to acknowledge. So I could see this idea where you're like, oh, they're going to this new religion because like they're hearing it and it's making more sense and blah, 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 blah. But really what it is that before they were like, oh, Iodon's the king. This is what he says is good. So I think it's good. And then you see this other guy and you're like, well, maybe he's more powerful. Maybe I'm going to like go to what he's doing.
Right.
and we dress it up by saying it's all these other reasons, but at its core, it's the same as those Sheor's degenerate men.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, I'm going to go along with it.
Yeah.
So this is a line that I highlighted shortly after. They, Sheor's men, now did exactly as Raoden said in all things. In turn, he had rewarded them with morsels of food, just as one would a favored pet. It disturbed him using men like beasts. And then it goes on to say how he tried to restore their minds, but it just seemed impossible.
Yeah. I know that was sad. Especially since that was Raoden's whole goal in New Elantris was like people rediscover their purpose and raise them up from being like beasts. But that is interesting to think that like, okay, if you've like committed to something or said yes to a certain decision for so long, eventually maybe sometimes is it irreversible and that just becomes who you are.
Yeah. And then I'm pointing this out because I think it's a parallel to the second part of the chapter. So it says they were remarkably well behaved, docile even. The pain didn't seem to affect them, and they performed any duty, no matter how menial or laborious. If Raoden told them to push on a building until it fell over, he would return days later to find them still standing against the same wall, their palms pressed against the belligerent stone. Yet, despite their apparent obedience, Raoden didn't trust them. Okay, whatever. But I just want to highlight that they just kind of follow any task given.
Oh, do you think is Harathan gonna he's gonna be their new leader? Is that what's gonna happen?
No, when we get to the second half of the chapter, I'll tell you
Oh, okay.
where it
I don't
ties in.
remember. I don't remember how that ties in. Okay. So yeah, so we see that we also they're also called Kayana by Galadin, which means the insane. So it is kind of interesting because we have the maybe insane in like the ICU of Elantris, where it's like they're just too in pain and they're like fixating on like the pain or the food or whatever, and that's kind of like people who have gone insane, but this is a different kind of insane of I guess they're just numb to everything.
Yes.
And I don't know, it's just interesting.
Yeah, and so the second half we're seeing the Raoden, he's really suffering from all of his fits basically with his pain, and he's trying to really press upon Galadin and Karada like all of his knowledge on the Aeons because he's like, I'm gonna disappear soon.
Right. So he's trying to he's trying to pass on all of his knowledge so that they can carry it on.
And then we find out from Raoden that the reason why Elantrian bodies glowed is because it was like the door kind of like pushing on them. And then when they drew the Aeons, it would release the door.
Oh, right. Which kind of goes along with what he was learning last time, that the hole for the door to go through isn't the right size or shape. So the door is trying to get through, but it can't. So he's trying to find the right shape. We also, and this is the connection to the chapter title, is that he says the key element is Aeon Ash, which means light. And so all of Elantris is glowing. The Elantrians are glowing, their Aeons are glowing, and even the city glows. And we learn that the reason everything is so moldy and slimy now is that back in the day, in the heyday of Elantris, it was all shiny because of this little bacteria, I guess, that was like a thin film over everything. And with the door power, it would glow. But now that the door has left, now they've just like decomposed. Now it's all moldy and slimy.
Yeah.
So
and I think that kind of goes back to Sanderson and kind of his background of being very scientific when he's talking about things.
Right. Yeah. And so this is just like another clue for Raoden to figure out what happened to Elantris how did they get here? How can they?
Mm-hmm. So I'm not seeing the part that, okay, here we go. So at the very end, so after they identify the slime, then they're talking about the seance.
Mm-hmm.
And Raoden's kind of complaining about the books, how they really don't give a lot of good information. He says the scholars who wrote them could be frustratingly obscure. It takes a great deal of studying to find answers to specific questions, such as, Kurata asks, well, for one thing, I haven't found a single book that mentions how to make seance. Okay. Raoden shook his head. I always assumed that seance were created by Ian Dor, but if so, the books don't explain how. A lot of them talk about the passing of famous seance from one person to another, but that's about it. So then Raoden goes into how you give a Scion from one person to the next. And then that Scion becomes their loyal servant. And all they like to do is follow the orders of whoever that their new owner is.
Oh.
And then they say, well, what if the owner dies and they didn't pass it on to someone? We don't know what happens in that case. And then so Raoden says, I don't know what would happen if the Scion wasn't gifted before the person passed. I guess it would just choose its next master on its own. And if it didn't want to, Kurata asked, I don't think it would have a choice, Raoden said. There's something about Scions and their masters. They're bonded somehow. Scions go mad when their masters are taken by the Sheod, for instance. I think they were created to serve. It's part of their magic.
Oh.
So I was kind of thinking about them versus Sheor's men, and it kind of seemed like there's some parallel happening here.
Yeah. Oh, do you have another thing?
So we never find out what happens, how the Scions are made. So my thought is, I wonder if when you go into the pool,
Yeah.
do you become a Scion?
That was my thought when you were reading that. I think that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Are all Elantrians so loyal though?
I think what happens to you is it strips, you don't remember who you were.
Oh.
And it just strips you down to where all you want to do is just listen to whoever it is that's your leader.
Yeah.
And you go from one leader to the next leader.
Interesting. So why are Sheor's men already in that state?
So my take on that is just to show that at your core, your most, like, if you strip down a lot of like your quote unquote humanistic characteristics, your human characteristics, that you become this kind of primitive version of yourself where it's like all you want to do is just listen to what the leader says.
Oh, interesting.
And so like with the Scions, it's like they do have a level of cognitive ability. They're able to think, they're able to remember, they're able to reason. But if Serene asks her Scion to go investigate Elantris, he investigates.
Right. Interesting. So that's interesting because I feel like I think of the Seance as like kind of this higher power or like higher beings in a sense, and more so like we're so stripped of any physical needs that we can just focus on what we're meant to do, which is like to serve people. I guess I was thinking of it as maybe in a, I don't know if it's a better light. I don't know.
Like maybe you go into the pool and you're stripped of all of your human needs, and then you're able to just be like this best version of yourself.
Yeah, something like that. And like you're just so content with life and everything's great.
Yeah. Well, we never find out. So it could be. But I do think that there's connection between Elantrians, pools, and the Scions, but we never find out.
I think so too. Man, that's kind of surprising we never find out because I think this pool theory is really good.
Yeah. But I really did feel like there was a parallel between Sheor's men and the Scions and how they kind of bookended the chapter.
Yeah, I think you're right. I didn't notice that. I hadn't picked up on that.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
All right. Chapter 30. 5. Is that a
Wait,
short
wait.
one or is it a long one?
We
Oh,
the very end. Okay, so the very end of this whole thing is that this messenger Dash, which includes the Scion Ash in his name, he comes running in and he's like, "You won't believe what just happened." And Raoden's like, "What happened?" And Dash says, "It's the Giorn, my lord. He's been healed." So now we see Harathan, his evil little plan worked, and he was in fact healed of the what's it called?
Shayad.
The Shayad.
Riyadh.
Rayad. I think it's the Rayad.
Rayad. Yeah.
Shayad is when you ultimately go.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Either way, he's not
Whatever.
He needs to be healed.
He's not Elantrian anymore.
Not Elantrian anymore.
Yeah, so that's the big thing that happened here. And so now we've confirmed this is what Harathan's potion does.
Right. Which is what we thought.
Yeah, so after about 8 to 10 hours of ingesting it, then you develop these Elantrian-like symptoms. You have it for a few days, and then it goes away.
Yeah.
And we know that Harathan has several vials of it when he ordered it.
I forgot he had several. I thought it was. I didn't think about that.
He had like a few. He ordered like a few from the potion master.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
Yeah. But I don't think we're going to have time to get through chapter 36 because it's a Serene chapter and
always
it's
a lot
just too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll leave her chapter for next time.
Okay. Well, I think that's it for today.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts thus far?
Things definitely picked up. There are lots of surprises. The sacrifice really threw me for a loop. Let's think. I think Roial is a royal spy. So still like Raoden. Think he's cool. I think he's gonna figure out some good secrets soon, and he's gonna heal himself.
Yeah, we see that Raoden's definitely coming to a breaking point where either he figures this out or he's not going to make it. And those are the options.
Yeah. But I believe in him.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great. Well, this has been awesome. So we'll talk next time. Hopefully we'll get to chapter 40. Probably not, but we'll try. We'll do our best.
Try our best.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Bookalicious. If you like this discussion, please rate or subscribe to our channel to help other book lovers find this content as well. If you have any questions or suggestions for future books, we'd love to hear from you at bookalicious.pod@gmail.com. As always, thanks for joining our club.